Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, July the 24th, and welcome to Hannaford. It's a quick one this evening. I'm quite concerned to read that a prominent civil rights lawyer, Eva Chipiuk, has had her bank account frozen. Or in fact, as we described it in our story this morning, she has been unbanked. She has been given notice to find a new bank. Now, it's not unheard of for banks to fire clients. However, when somebody like high-profile lawyer Eva Chipiuk gets unbanked, it should catch your attention as it caught mine. The details are somewhat opaque and protected by client confidentiality. However, according to the correspondence from the Royal Bank of Canada that Ms. Chipiuk released, the situation was triggered by a Bitcoin transaction. And if transactions appear suspicious, yes, banks are actually required by law to take action. On the other hand, lots of people buy and sell Bitcoin, so do they all get investigated? Was that really all it was? And was it nothing to do with Ms. Chipiuk's public support for the Freedom Convoy and her well-attested counter-establishment political views? Well, nobody's saying that. So perhaps we shouldn't say it either. The bank just says the transaction was beyond what they call their risk tolerance. And you could argue that that's okay. After all, people are allowed to switch banks and do. Can't banks switch people? Well, yes, and they do. But it's not normal behavior. They like to have clients. 2 years ago, on the other side of the Atlantic, though, the private bank, Coutts, an ancient and estimable institution in banking in Great Britain, dumped Nigel Farage, the controversial leader of Great Britain's UK Independence Party. Farage was a prominent, ferocious even, critic of the British government and of the World Economic Forum. Eventually, Coutts found a loophole in their agreement and showed Farage the door. So yes, it happens. But then when you're talking about a controversial politician getting unbanked and an Edmonton lawyer who takes an interest in people who governments don't like and speaks up for them, when people like that are shown the door by her bank, there is a consistent look and feel. So are Chipiuk's banking troubles just about Bitcoin? Do all lawyers who buy Bitcoin face scrutiny? Or is a commercial bank in Canada one that cooperated with the government of Canada in freezing bank accounts of Convoy protesters and the people who donated to the Convoy cause, wanting to send a message? It seems they are operating within their rights. So let's leave that as a rhetorical question. But in 2022, they weren't on the side of feisty people picking bones with their government. Chipiuk is feisty, after all. I had a look today at her ex-posting as she reviewed the events of the week. Looking at this Leach Barber sentencing hearing, she said on her ex-posting that the lengthy sentences demanded by the prosecution, 7 years and 8 years, were cruel and unusual punishment for a charge of mischief. I agree. So might you. Leach and Barber were associated with a nonviolent protest rooted in charter-protected rights. Neither of them had a criminal record. So Eva Chipiuk, that is, rightly asks, how did a protest resulting in minor criminal charges turn into the threat of nearly a decade in prison? A lot of people are asking the same thing. I am wondering, perhaps you are wondering. Meanwhile, what was the bank asking? In her post on X today, Chipiuk also commented that the federal vaccine injury compensation program has now been exposed for what it really is, a bureaucratic nightmare, and frankly, a fraud on the people it was supposed to help. Years later, she writes, most injured Canadians still haven't seen a cent. And once again, she adds that the RBC froze her bank accounts, citing vague risk concerns. They did it once before, in 2022, she said, the year of the Convoy. Again, no charges, no hearing, no explanation. This is not about whether you supported the protest or not. It is about principle. It is about fairness and process, the rule of law, and the kind of Canada we want to live in. What kind of country is this becoming, and are we okay with it? She asks. Good questions for all of us, but not perhaps ones to bring up with your bank manager. Ladies and gentlemen, for the Western Standard, I'm Nigel Hannaford.